Okay, we just finished up our ridge top. Now we're going to work on our small stem. Okay, this pattern is made from the bottom up. Okay, so the circle that we're making is going to be the bottom of our stem, and we're just building height and shape from there. Okay, again, we are going to start with a magic circle and 4 single crochets in the circle. I'm going to do that quickly. If you need the tutorial, please go back again and watch it from the other one. I'm going to try and make this a little faster. So we have our magic circle. I've tested to make sure it opens and closes. I'm going to follow the correct pattern this time. And we're going to do 4 single crochet. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold in there, loop. We're going to pull it tight. Okay. Now again, how tight is tight? That's plenty. Okay, if you can't see the hole, you're good to go. All right, and then we are going to secure it to the other side with a slip stitch, which I probably should have put in the pattern. I may have to do that. Update the pattern. Okay, now I'm going to tie my tiny little knot in the back. I wish I had a thing to do this, but I only have 2 hands. Okay, so I'm literally just making a loop and pulling it twice. All right, so I'm going to slide it because I want my knot to be as far down as possible. So I'm using my nails to kind of push down that knot. I'm going to do it one more time. Now, because I'm following the proper pattern this time, I'm really going to fold this in half so that I can do this properly. So we have our circle, 4 stitches, not 6, 4, okay? We are going to do 2 SC in each stitch, okay? So we're growing this again. We're growing our stem, all right? If you need your stitch marker, please grab your stitch marker now. 1, 2, 3, 4. Double check on my count. Pulling up my first one in my first stitch, and then I'm going to do my second one in my first stitch. 2 stitches in each stitch. 1, 2. Okay, going on to the next one. This can be challenging because you have a teeny tiny circle and you're trying to get that daggone hook through. Please don't get frustrated if you're new. It's a thing. It's a thing. You'll be all right. We'll be all right. Okay. Do the best you can with what you got, and you can only get better. All right. If you need to double check your stitch count, please do. You should have 8 at this point. Now, we're going to do this pattern. So, front loop only. Okay. 1 single crochet. And what we're doing is we're literally just climbing up. Okay, so this is what we have right now. Okay, the bottom. We're climbing up now. So I'm going to flatten this out a little bit. I'm going to locate the front loop. I'm going to push through. I'm going to push through. I'm going to do my single crochet. And I'm going to use my stitch marker to mark it. Okay, same deal. I'm going to wiggle it through that front stitch. I'm going to pull it through. I'm going to wiggle it through that front stitch. I'm going to pull it through. Okay, see, we're climbing up. We're actually going to flip this over so that our pretty bottom is showing as we continue the climb up. Okay, front loop only, climbing up. Front loop only, climbing up. Front loop only, we're climbing up. Now, right before I end my row, I usually like to check my stitch count. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and the last one makes 8. Perfect. Okay. Now, at this point, we're literally just growing up. We're literally going up, okay? So rows 3 and 4 are both single crochet. We're just adding height to our piece, okay? So take out your stitch. Now remember, this is both rows, okay? Not front loop only. We're back to using both loops again, okay? So you will grow pretty quickly. Put your stitch marker back in. Just make sure you don't miss any stitches. That's why the stitch count is there. So you can count in your head which stitches you're on. You should have a total of 8. If you're concerned or worried, just double check when you get close to the end of a row. when you do bigger pieces, I like to use stitch markers every 10 to 25 stitches, depending on how big your row is going to be. That helps me quickly double check my count. Okay, so we're done row number 3. We're doing row number 4 now, okay? Look, we're getting taller. My first stitch, I'm putting my counter back on, my marker back on. Okay, let's get through this. So we're in row 4, single crochet all the way around again. We're giving our piece some height. Going through both loops, just making sure to catch everything. If you need to count again, you can count again. All right, we are on row 5, okay? Row 5, all right? We're going to single crochet in 3 stitches and do 1 decrease. Don't panic, okay? We're going from bigger to a little bit smaller, all right? So we are going to do a single crochet in 3 stitches. So remove your marker. 1, put your marker back in. 2, 3. Now if you don't know how to do a decrease, I'm going to show you. All right, so here's where we are. Here are my next 2 stitches. All right, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go all the way through the first stitch. I'm going to pull a loop out. Okay, I'm going to go into the second stitch. I'm going to pull another loop out. Okay, so I have 3 loops now. 1 from my original, 1 from the first stitch, and 1 from the second stitch. And what I do is I just take that last loop and I pull it all the way through the others, and it kind of cinches those 2 together. Okay, I'm gonna do it again. I'm gonna do it again. I'm gonna do it again. So we have our original loop from our 3rd single crochet. We have the next 2 stitches. Pull through the first stitch, get a loop. Pull through the second stitch, get a loop. Do not make another loop. Use this last loop to pull it through, okay? That is what cinches everything together, okay? You've essentially eliminated a stitch, which is why they call it a decrease. You have made 2 stitches into 1, all right? Now, we gotta do it again. 1 SC and 3 stitches. So we've only done 1 decrease in this row. We've only eliminated 1 stitch from this row, but we're slowly getting smaller to give it the shape of a stem, okay? 2, 3, perfect, all right? Kind of play with it a little bit, okay? So that's what we have so far. That's row 5. Row 6, okay? We're adding in another decrease, okay? 1 SC in 2 stitches, okay? Decrease, 1 SC in 2 stitches. So I'm removing my stitch marker. I'm gonna do a single crochet. I'm gonna put my stitch marker back in, because in small pieces especially, it's very easy to lose your beginning, and you can secure it if you want. I recommend that, especially for beginners. I just don't do that. Okay, so we've done our 2 single crochets. Now it's time to do our decrease. So I'm gonna pull a loop through the first one. I'm gonna pull a loop through the second one. Okay, so now we have 3 loops, okay? The original, the first stitch, the second stitch. I'm gonna use this loop to pull through, okay? So we're eliminating 1 more stitch. A little tight. Okay, we're eliminating 1 more stitch. We're making it 1 stitch smaller, okay? And then we need to do 1 more single crochet and 2 more stitches. So wiggle it in, single crochet, single crochet, and that's the row. Okay, row 7, we are decreasing all around. Why are we decreasing all around? Well, because we're closing up our shape to be stitched onto our top, okay? So if you're new, this can be intimidating only because it is a very small piece. If you want to keep your tail for stitching in, you're welcome to, but I'm going to cut it simply because I want you to be able to see what I'm doing better, okay? So I'm literally just decreasing. So I'm putting it in the first loop, I'm pulling it through, putting it through the second loop, I'm pulling it through. Okay, so I have 3, right? I'm gonna take this I'm gonna pull it, take this one, pull it all the way through. Okay, same deal. I'm gonna do it again. I'm gonna do it all the way around. Okay, first stitch, and it can be hard to get into those stitches. Don't get frustrated, just take your time. Okay, so again, I have my original, the first stitch, the second stitch. I'm gonna use this last one to pull it through. Okay, I should have one more. And you might get yourself getting into the stitch across from you. That's okay. Just slide it gently. Take your time. Okay, so this is the last decrease, okay? So I'm gonna take this one and just go pull it through. Okay, and what does that give us? That gives us a relatively closed up top that we need. You're gonna want a long tail if you're gonna use it to stitch, okay? I'm gonna pull it all the way through. And now we have our stem for our top, okay? And again, if you want to shape this, you can shape this, you can pull it, you can push it. If you want it to sit up firm, you could have, before you closed it all the way, fold up a pipe cleaner and put it in there. If you want it to be super puffy, you can add puff, you can add fiber film. And what you would do is you would take this and take a needle or your hook and stitch it in. So I'm just going to do a quick stitch. Okay, so where do you want to go through? I usually go through the magic circle, okay? And I don't mean the middle, not the middle. I mean the stitches alongside it, okay? So here's the middle of our magic circle. Here's one of the stitches alongside. You can go between the stitches. You can go over the stitches. It depends if you're trying to hide this color or not. I'm going to go... I did one through, okay, but I want to connect it, all right? So it's a little wiggly. I'm going to pull it tighter, and I'm going to put it through right here, okay? Put it through one of the stitches. I'm going to push it up without getting the ridge again, and that's going to secure it way better than just doing it through the top, okay? So I have that. I'm going to get right in my center line from the ridge. I'm going to take this again and I'm going to go flip it over. I'm going to pick another stitch at the top, okay? You're going to see it's getting more secure where we stitch it. It's still very floppy where we haven't stitched it. So I'm going to go down that stitch again. Okay, you see where I'm going over my stitches. And pull it through. Now here's one of the parts that's not secured, so I'm going to go through that stitch. Okay, go all the way through. You can go part of the way through, but if you want this to be playable with, you're going to want to go all the way through. It's going to make that stitch hold a lot tighter. See how I tighten them? It's much more secure. We're going to go through another stitch. Okay, so we're back on the top. Okay, I'm going to pull it tight. I'm going to go down the next stitch. Let me find it. Go down the next stitch. Why does everybody call me when I'm doing a tutorial? That's so weird. Nobody ever calls me. I'm going to go through the last part, and that's it. We're secured. We're done. We're secured. We're done. We can shape everything. And ta-da! You officially have your small mushroom. Congratulations, you did it! Give yourself a round of applause. Let me know if you have any feedback, concerns, or questions, and I will talk to you soon.